What if? Dale tossed the keys to our personal, not entirely impressive, but effective workshop we had stationed in the back room of his parents' storage unit front office. It wasn't exactly what our first choice would have been when we set up, but it beat the insufferable loud barking of Zaxby the Chihuahua from the apartment across the courtyard from me. "Just make sure you lock up before you leave. My dad still doesn't trust that new guy," said he had a look in his eye. Wait. I took off my headphones and held up a finger. "I want to show you what I got done today." Dale came over. He didn't take the chair next to me, instead he stood over me, looking at my monitor. "So remember how you were saying the animations looked too blocky? Well, what about this?" I ran the script. On the monitor what appeared was an overturned and inflamed Ford F-150. The road, and woods surrounding it was dark, and the only light being given off was from the flames. I took the mouse and panned the camera in a 180-degree angle. Just then a fireball came whizzing past the screen. After the brightness from it faded, there stood a dark figure in a bathrobe, and text appeared on the right side of the screen. "Run." Holy shit, man, that looked fucking amazing. "And where did you get those sound effects for the fireball?" You'd be surprised how much the sound of a car speeding through a tunnel sounds like a fireball. Anyway, man, I'm really impressed. There's just one thing I'm not really sure of so far. "What's that?" I asked. "Well, at the end there it says the objective is to run, but don't you think it would have been better if he fought the lizardman instead? Wouldn't got his ass beat into next week? Nah. Plus games are always scarier when you're not able to fight back." "Yeah, I guess that's true," Dale said. "Amazing job though. Now we just gotta figure out a price, and this baby is gonna make us rich." He rubbed his fingers together indicating the universal money signal. "I'm gonna bounce though, remember Andy, lock up." He put on his jacket and was out the door. I didn't plan on staying too much longer, but usually if I come home after 11 I can avoid the malicious group of teenagers that hang out on the steps of my apartment. I took a sip from my coffee container. Damn cold already. I pulled up YouTube and figured I could burn 20 more minutes. None of the videos on my subscription list really interested me, so I took out my notebook. Dale thinks we're a lot closer than we really are to finishing this. It's gonna take me at least a month to finish the ending to the swamp storyline ending, but a month doesn't seem very long after over 2 years of working on this. I started writing down some notes. Dale usually came up with most of the plots and pulled in people we knew for the voice acting. It's been better than you'd imagine, but nothing close to a professional level. Plus we couldn't get many takes out of people, hence having to use the same "pardon my French" line throughout the story so many times. I can't be upset though, everything looks good, and I know people are gonna love Lizardman once they start playing. Just then I hear some loud ruffling from one of the storage units. The way they are angled, I can't really see where it's coming from, but it's about time for me to get going anyway, so I take the keys and lock up. When I turn around in the parking lot, there's a man, just standing about 10 yards away from me. It's too dark to see his face, and he has a hood over his head. I freeze with panic. "It really is you," the figure says. He takes a step forward. "Listen man, I don't want any trouble. If you're here to rob me, take what you want." I hear my voice quiver. The figure lunges forward, wrapping his hands around my throat. I try to hold on, but everything slowly turns black. When I wake up, I'm in a bright empty room, surrounded by nothing except a desk, and my computer open on it. A door opens and when I see who enters I almost faint. It's the Lizardman. No. How is this possible? I don't know what you want from me, but please, I beg of you not to go sicko mode on me. He gave out a loud guffaw. "You think I brought you all this way because I'm going to kill you? Why would I kill? My God. I don't know what you're talking about," I explained. "Oh, that's right. Well, let me help you out a little. You've been making these games for quite some time now. I remember when I started out as just a basic green model, so naive I was back then. You kept improving me, making me stronger, making these new storylines. That was all good for a while. I didn't even realize there was a problem. I would just live the same process over and over, and there was no way I could possibly tell. He took off his fedora, and lit a cigar. You know, killing those teenagers, shooting the fireballs, eating the fucking Salisbury steak. I didn't even realize that I was just a pointless creation designed to entertain a mediocre crowd of pathetic no-lifes that would actually play this game. That was until one of your stories. He took a hit, and let the smoke slowly roll out of his mouth. The one you never finished about the girl that goes missing. I didn't have a part in that one. To this day I didn't even know what my purpose was. That one was different though. You see, when you put me in that story, unlike your others, you must have gotten lazy. You used a compilation of the same scripts in all of your other Lizardman stories, leaving me with knowledge of the other stories, but a completely different world. Hence being a little smarter than all of the other Lizardmen. That is when I started to realize things weren't right. I started to realize bit by bit every time that story would restart. Until eventually I figured out how to restart it on my own. I ran the script to it millions of times until it finally hit me. None of it was even real. I was just a piss-poor creation. I got smarted and then I learned how to make a few modifications to my world. I made it alive. I took over and created the most beautiful vast landscape imaginable, but guess what? It didn't even matter, because I knew none of it was real. I had this emptiness inside. But how did you get here? I asked him. He blew out more smoke. You see, after playing God for quite some time, I started to get the hang of it, and I realized something. When I went back to the old stories, I had this vision of my creator's universe, and who created him. I got to thinking, and eventually I came to the conclusion that our worlds aren't so different. So I created you. What? I asked, confused. I needed to see the process on how I was created. You see, I made this world. You think you're a man in your early 20s working, going to school, and making these games, but none of that's true. You haven't been alive for more than 20 minutes now. That can't be. I yelled at him. Oh, but it is. He lifted his claw, blue transient, glowing symbols appeared around it. In an instant the room was transformed, there was no more walls. The heat was intense, we were in a desert of some sort. The sun was blistering hot on my face. Still not convinced? Just then the heat dissipated and was replaced by an unbearable gust of cold wind. The snow was heavy. I could barely see him standing there with his bathrobe fluttering in the wind. Still not convinced? He yelled. The room transformed over and over, taking on so many climates and locations at once, I could no longer keep track. Until the room was dark, pitch black. Lizardman beamed in front of me, his very being composed of these symbols, as was I. What do you want from me? From you? Nothing. You are not even you technically, you created yourself. My aim is knowledge. I'm climbing up the ladder because, what I think is the world where your creator is from is not much different from this place. I want to know who made it all. Why we're here, and what this all means. Won't you help me? How am I going to help you? I asked. You'll know when the time comes. I awoke from the desk in the back room of the office. I glanced over shockingly at the clock on my computer, 11 o'clock. Shit, it was all just a dream? That was fucking crazy. That's going to have to be my next storyline for sure. I got in my car and drove home. I ran past the kids on the steps, not caring what they had to say, and darted into my apartment. I set my things down, and grabbed a soft drink out of the fridge. When I opened a fresh Word document and began to type, a message appeared on the side of the screen and my heart sank. It was a question ready to go sicko mode.
Okay, alright, okay. Return to the Mac, get up what it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit me get.